Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
Now, I don't know if you're a fan of TikTok or not, or you spend hours like me before you go to bed getting addicted to silly videos of people falling down and food reviewers. Because my guest tonight is a social media influencer and TikTok food reviewer who loves a spice bag. I can't beat a spice bag. She can't. It's a real... By the way, that's only a Dublin thing. Say it to anybody else anywhere in the world, they've no idea what you're talking about. They think you're talking about some sort of Indian dish that you put over your nose. Known for slogans like, up the bows and love a curry on a Saturday night, Nasti rates takeaways all over the country and further afield, having recently returned from China. And he has his own collaborative menu items in Peking, O'Brien's and Abracadabra, to name but a few. He also showcases his beloved League of Ireland team, Bohemians, and has even started his own brand, the new MMA podcast. He has over 210,000 followers on Instagram and nearly 500,000 followers on TikTok, and he joins me on the line. Nasti, my man, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Niall. How are you?
Good, good. How's the followers going? Are you getting lots more of them, yeah?
You know yourself, chipping away at the bit, I suppose. But yeah, as you said, nearly 500,000 there on TikTok. That'll be the goal for the end of the year.
Did you? By the way, if you look back, going back a few years ago, did you ever think you'd have like 500,000 followers?
Nah, absolutely not. I mean, to be honest with you, before I ever made my first video, I never even had TikTok. Like, it wasn't something I'd watch, let alone make videos on. So yeah, to be at this point now, it's a bit mad.
Yeah, and I suppose the key to TikTok is just something different, isn't it? To do something different. I mean, I sit in bed at night and I call it empty. I say to my wife, I'm going to empty my brain. Because I'm doing the podcast during the day, the show at night, and I'm talking about politics and stuff like that, and I'm talking about social issues and all. Your brain is fried. So I like to empty it. And I watch TikTok, usually stupid videos of people falling over and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. TikTok has just opened up the market to so many people with ideas. But it blows my mind what gets the most amount of views. I seen a video the other day of a fella rolling marbles down the stairs. And there was like 3 million views. And I went, that's stupid. But there I was watching it, thinking, which marble will get down first? It's just mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, to be honest. I think a lot of people overthink it too much. Like, what you are to somebody is just... or 2 or 3 minutes on the toilet sometimes. Like, you kind of have to really treasure that few minutes, because that's what you are to some people, you know, and they're the people that are really giving you most of your success. So yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, I always say you only have 3 seconds really to catch someone's attention. So a lot of the time that's what it would be with myself, even watching videos. You know, it's in the first 3 seconds I subconsciously decide in my head, am I gonna stay or am I gonna scroll to something else? So yeah, I feel like that's very important.
In relation to the takeaways, look, you know, for me, takeaways are the one you're used to, isn't it? Everybody, it's the one you're used to. It's the one you keep, the go-to takeaway that everyone likes. Like I like, you know, Linky and Swords, really great to be like a Chinese. Years ago, there was a great takeaway in town in Marlborough Street called Damasio's. And the reason they were great was the chips were soggy. And they had loads of vinegar on them. Loads of vinegar. They were just soggy with the vinegar.
See, I'd be the opposite now. I wouldn't be big into the soggy ones. I prefer the crispy chips.
Oh, do you?
I do like a lot of vinegar, though, but I don't like them to make, you know, it's like a bag of mashed potatoes sometimes. I'm not big into that myself.
Where is the best takeaway in Ireland so far, Nasti? Where was the best one for you?
You know, people pay for that information, you know. It depends what you're into, I must say. You know, like if it's
a bag of chips and
Chinese,
fish and chips.
Like if it's a chipper.
Fish and chips.
Yeah, the best chipper I've had now so far, nowhere's got a 10 out of 10. I don't know if it exists, but the best one I've had has been Marcella's in Finglas.
Right, okay. I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
On your advice.
I don't think you'd be disappointed with that. I scored that at 9.8, so that's taking the biscuit so far, or taking the fish and chips, you could say.
What about the Chinese? Best Chinese?
It's tied for me between Peking, but also Golden City. They've 2 branches. They've one in Darndale, one in Edenmore.
That's where I'm from originally. I'm originally from Edenmore. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely Chinese that is now, I have to say. Be hard to pick between the two of them.
What like if you're going into the Chinese, what's the first thing you're going to think of? Chicken balls, curry sauce, and boiled rice?
Oh, absolutely not. You go for the nasty special, the curry sauce, sweet and sour sauce, spice bag, no veg, and egg fried rice with plenty of brown tints.
All right, let's get to the spice bag. You know, look, let's talk about the famous spice bag. What makes it a truly great one in your eyes? I mean, the spice bag. It is traditionally Irish, by the way. There's nowhere else in the world that know what a spice bag is.
You'd be surprised now. It's definitely broadening its horizons. I'm seeing a few places in Australia are hopping on board. I know the Americans have tried it for a while. They haven't quite hit the nail on the head, but it hasn't even got over to the UK. I mean, I'm over there quite often doing food stuff, and I haven't really seen a spice bag. I've seen one place doing it, which is surprising. But for me, the perfect spice bag would be no veg, but it tastes like it had veg in it, if that makes sense. So basically, you want the flavour of the veg having marinated and everything got to know each other in there, but you don't have to deal with the texture.
Right, okay. I don't like the texture of veg myself. I'm not a veg person.
I was never raised on it, so it's just never something that I took to, and I feel like you really have to like veg from a young age, or you're not gonna get into it.
No, see, when I get out with carrots or onions in it, I just take them out. I'm just not in. I like the flavour, but you're right about the flavour. I like the flavour of them in there.
Yeah, I'd be the same. Yeah, it's the texture that just throws me off completely.
Now, you went to China. What was the reason you went to China, by the way? I mean, was it just to go to taste the food?
Yeah, so essentially I took the spice bag to China, really. So I have a partnership with Peking Asian Street Food, and their owners come from Beijing. So very kindly of them, they took me to their hometown. They took me to Beijing. So that was really nice. And we also went to Shanghai as well. So I took a spice bag all the way on an 11-hour flight to Beijing, and we took it around the country. So we did. So it was great crack altogether.
And what was their reaction to the spice bag?
There's actually a video where I taught a Chinese chef how to make a spice bag, and he was completely blown away. I asked him, is this something we could see as an addition to your menu anytime soon? And he said, absolutely. I mean, it kind of caters to all palates. Kids love the spice bag. Adults love the spice bag. You'd be silly not to have it on your menu.
You would be silly not to have the spice bag on your menu. By the way, did you try anything unusual when you were in China? Because, of course, I've always said I'd love to go to China. I'd love to go to Tokyo as well, by the way, to Japan. I'd love to go to all these Asian countries. But I wouldn't survive because I'm a steak and chips man. You know what I mean? Or McDonald's and KFC or whatever. Like, I'm really bad. I won't risk anything. If it doesn't look right, I just won't put it in my mouth. So I don't know. How did you survive okay on the food over there? And what did you try?
Luckily for me, when it doesn't come to veg, I'm actually quite adventurous with food. So they do a lot of pork, a lot of duck over there, which I'm absolutely fine with. I thought it was lovely. My girlfriend, on the other hand, she struggled. She's not big into that kind of thing. So, it was McDonald's and KFC for the week for her.
That's what I'd be with your girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tried the McDonald's and KFC there as well. I have to say I was quite impressed.
Are they any different? Are they any different?
They're a lot different. To be honest. And there's some things I would take from there, and some things I would definitely leave, you know what I mean? The most interesting thing I would have to say, especially in the KFC, they do whole chickens. So you can just buy a whole chicken in KFC there.
What? With the stuff on it, like? With the spices on it?
You can get whatever. You can get it plain. You can get it with marinated in different sauces. You can get the whole chicken whatever way you want it, really.
Wow.
So I found that quite interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the traditional food itself, I tried a hot pot, which I think is the big one there, the Peking duck, and yeah, I mean a lot of different things, and yeah, it was really just nice to immerse myself in the culture. As I said, I like to try different foods as long as it doesn't have the rabbit food. I can take it, so it's fine. But
yeah, I'm not into the rabbit food. By the way, that's the way I described it years ago when I was DJing in the clubs, or not the club, doing 21st years ago when I started out, and people would always have the buffet with all the corn and the mayonnaise and the coleslaw and the ham, and I was always say, like, why do they always have rabbit food? I wouldn't eat any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah, but here you were on the bullet train, by the way, and you were served raw chicken. How was the belly after that? Was it all right?
You know what? I thought it was raw chicken, but I actually don't think it was, because the thing that struck out to me, yes, it was pink, but if it was raw, you know, would it not be white with pink bits in it? For me, the whole thing was pink. So it's like, raw chicken wouldn't be entirely pink. I think it's just...
Did it have a fleshy taste? Did it have a kind of fleshy taste, even?
Not at all. It tasted lovely. That's why it was a bit of a curveball, because it was tasting nice. And I actually finished it. But, you know, I finished it kind of worrying for a few days. Am I going to be okay? I had salmonella before, so I was thinking, do I have to go back into battle here, maybe? But no,
back into battle.
Okay, yeah, I mean, luckily for me, I have followers from all over the world. So I actually have a few Chinese followers that put me wide, and they said, you know, we do use dark meat over here, especially when it comes to chicken. So that kind of put me mind at ease. But yeah, I mean, I'm here, I'm fine. I've had no problems since, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay. I mean, how did you end up with these collaborations? You've got some great collaborations going on, by the way, including O'Brien's, Peking, and Abracadabra. And I was only talking to somebody, by the way, about one of your sambos, and they wanted to. They actually sent me a question to ask you about how you came up with the name, the Slobber Knocker.
The Slobber Knocker was one that I was on Ireland. I think it came before this, but when the Slobber Knocker really came to prominence was when I went on Ireland AM, and they asked me to name the sandwich that I was making. And it just kind of came to me. I was like, this looks like a slobber knocker.
What does a slobber knocker look like? I've never heard of a slobber knocker.
You know, and that kind of just stuck. So yeah, now, you know, when something just looks monstrous and as if you can't tackle it, it just looks like this kind of, you know, behemoth of a sandwich. It's a slobber knocker.
Yeah, as my mother would say, when you look at the slobber knocker, by the way, there's eating and drinking on it. That's what my mother would say. Like, there's like a meal in it, isn't there?
Yeah, you know, it's 4 sandwiches in one, essentially. So it's the first ever quadruple decker that O'Brien's actually did. And, you know, the funny thing is that's, like, when I brought that out, I didn't actually call it the Slobber Knocker, so that's not the official title for it, but that's what people are calling it now.
It's a good name.
It is a Slobber Knocker. I mean, essentially it is. That's what it is.
And how did you end up with the other collaborations then? We just talked about O'Brien's, obviously. You're with O'Brien's, who have places all over the country, but Peking as well and Abracadabra. I mean, what have you put in there, and how did you end up with those collaborations?
Yeah, so the first one I ever did was Gourmet Burger Kitchen, and I brought out the Nasti burger. Obviously, that was quite a successful campaign. Gourmet Burger Kitchen have 6 branches in Dublin, so it was a relatively small operation. But they also own Abracadabra, AIL Group, so that was obviously a bigger one because Abracadabra, they're nationwide. And from there on, when people and other brands started seeing the success of campaigns like those, I kind of had requests coming in at all angles. So yeah, one thing led to another, and now I've had 5 collaborations, thanks be to God.
I mean, your reviews are kind of known for their honesty, I suppose. Have you ever been worried about maybe, you know, a negative review kind of backfiring or anything like that? Because you are very honest with your reviews. If it's crap, you'll tell them it's crap.
I've never been worried about it because the way I see it is, you know, you can look at it from the side of maybe it's, you know, detrimental to a business, but I choose to look at it from the side that, you know, takeaway, especially in Dublin, the prices have skyrocketed.
Oh, they have.
You know,
yeah.
The cost of living and things like that. And, you know, people deserve, if they're paying out their hard-earned money for a takeaway, they deserve, you know, for a lot of people, they can only get one takeaway a week. They deserve to enjoy that. And they don't deserve to be just served this half-arsed crap that I'm seeing sometimes, you know. And for me, I feel like I'm doing people justice in that sense.
I mean, you're paying now for a takeaway, say in a Chinese even, right? For 2 people, for something decent, you know, with a bit of a starter maybe, a few spring rolls or whatever for a starter. You're paying what you would have paid 5 years ago to sit down in a restaurant.
Exactly. I mean, Jesus, like if you look at, I know my takeaway order might be a bit more, you know, obscene than a lot of people's, but, you know, I could just eat for one in a chipper one night and you could be talking in excess of 40 quid, and you know, even though it's a lot of food, in the grand scheme of things, it's a burger, chips, maybe a kebab and a drink, and you're talking nearly 40 quid. Like, it's insane.
Would you eat it all, like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I get food, you know, I'm the kind of person, like, I mightn't eat, like, I don't eat breakfast, for example, but I might have 1 or 2 huge meals a day, but if I eat, I really go to town with it.
I've seen some of those videos online of those fellas eating, you know, the massive steaks in America. You know, the ones they say, if you can eat it all, you can have it for free.
Yeah,
or the massive burgers. These these huge like not a half pounders. I think they're pounder burgers. And again, if you eat it, if you can have it for free. You should set up a challenge like that, shouldn't you?
See, it's funny you say that. I was only talking to a lad recently, and there's not really anything like that around. That would be interesting. You see, I feel like something like that isn't my forte because I'm definitely not a fast eater. See, like eating challenges and competitive eaters, that definitely wouldn't be me because I can put away a lot of food, but I couldn't do it in quick time. So if I was to go up against someone, for example, they could probably eat quicker than me. But I know I'm a bit of a marathon eater, so over the long run, I'd probably get them, But if it was under a time constraint, it probably wouldn't play into my strengths.
And with the huge following, and I suppose when you're on TikTok or whatever, Instagram and everything else, there's a huge amount of pressure to obviously keep putting up content all the time. Do you kind of feel that pressure to keep trying new places all the time, to keep the content fresh? It must be difficult for you to do that.
I definitely did at one point at the start, but luckily now, I kind of have broadened out, I suppose. So I'm kind of, I feel like I'm not the only one. A lot of content creators would have this kind of sixth sense where anything they're doing, and it mightn't be healthy, but you kind of associate it with content, and you're always thinking, you could be eating your breakfast. Well, for me, that's definitely a prominent one. You could be eating your breakfast and you say, how can I make a bit of content out of this? So you're never really short. I know, for example, like I could just sit here and I have my content done for the next 2 weeks. I have that much backlog, but yeah, it's not even something that I think about now. It kind of just starts to flow to you naturally, like anything else, really.
Yeah, I should have brought you in here. We could have had an eating competition or something like that. That's what we should have done.
I could do with a bit of. I have a takeaway on the way at the minute. I do.
Have you? What did you order?
No word of a lie.
What did you order?
I got a mixed kebab tray, no salad, a half pounder, no salad, cheese and bacon, meal, so with chips, and a Sprite. And chicken tenders. You
can't beat a night. Now, I'd have to have a Red Bull to wash it down. Sprite wouldn't work for me. It has to be a Red Bull.
At this hour, yeah?
Yeah. I'll drink 5 cans of Red Bull a day.
Really, yeah. See, I'm flat out on the Monster now. I don't mind the Red Bull. I actually quite like the new one they brought out. I think it's an apricot and strawberry.
Ah, Jesus, no. I'm not into all them flavours. Just the original one.
Like the OG you're into, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the other thing as well you're famous for is, up the bows. And, speaking of the bows, how do you incorporate your love for Bohemians into your food reviews? I'm sure you do, by the way. You do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the up the bows thing has gotten quite big. And, that's something that people are saying and they don't even know what it means. Like, I've been over in England, for example, and people would be saying up the bows to me, but they don't even know what the bows are.
They haven't a clue. They think it's something to do with something you put in your hair or something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously when I go to the matches, and I still do my vlogs when I'm lucky enough to be able to go to the matches, and I still like to raise awareness for the league that way because, my first love, the first thing I ever did creating videos way before the food was going to the bowls matches, so I always like to maintain that through the content.
And you're kind of dipping your toe into the MMA podcast now as well. I don't know how that fits into the passion for food in the League of Ireland, but you're doing that as well. So I don't know where you're finding the time to do all this stuff, by the way.
Yeah, the MMA podcast. I mean, we've just finished up our first show there at the weekend, Ground and Pound podcast. So I do it with 2 other TikTokers. I don't know if you've heard of the Galaxy Boys, but there's 4 of them, and basically 2 of the lads are quite big into MMA, Darragh and Owen. And we basically just sit down, watch the UFC and have a laugh, really. So I feel like it's a casual thing that people have really taken to.
Well, I think they're the kind of podcast that seem to work, is just, either a group of girls or a group of guys or whatever, or a group of people just having the bands, like just having the chats about whatever it is they're interested in. That's what kind of works, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I don't take myself too seriously, and I don't think people should. So, along with the League of Ireland, along with the food, I enjoy a bit of UFC, I enjoy a bit of boxing, so maybe we can combine the 3. Sometimes, like, I got a spice bag on air on the podcast, like, there's kind of no strict rules with these things, just let it flow as you would.
Before we finish up, what's next for Nasti anyway? What's on the horizon for you for the future?
I definitely love a couple of big trips. I mean, China was definitely the furthest that I've gone, probably the furthest I will go for a while, but I definitely like to do a couple of others. I'd love to get to Raising Cane's. I know that's a big viral one at the minute over in America, or even they've opened one up in Dubai. So
but they like their food in America, their junk food, of course. They love their junk food. I mean,
if I go there, I'll be coming back twice the size.
that's what I'm saying. If you go down south and they have you eating large racks of ribs and all sorts of things, you know what I mean? You'll be twice the size coming back. You will.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, I will. I definitely will, because I know once I go there, I'm going to take full advantage of it. I want to do In-N-Out, Raising Cane's, all those big ones.
Yeah. I mean, do we give our portions? I mean, America are famous for the portion sizes. Do you think are our portion sizes in our takeaways in this country, are they satisfactory, or do you think they should be bigger?
They used to be, but I feel like they've really tightened it now, I have to say. I mean, it depends where you go, obviously. You can't really speak generally anymore, but, you know, especially for Dublin, I would say they have definitely narrowed down.
Mm. Yeah, but I find that you get more in a takeaway than you would in a sit-down restaurant. I've gone to when I go into a Chinese, right, I always get this. It's usually the same thing: salt and chili chicken, boiled rice, curry sauce, right? And that's what I always get. And when salt and chili chicken without the veg, by the way, I always say without the veg, so they don't put the veg in.
I respect that.
That's okay. But when you go to a restaurant and sit down, you don't get like half as much, and you're paying twice the price. But at least when you go to the takeaway, I go to the Linky, or I go to the Waka, or there's a Waka Waka I go to, and I also go to the other one in Swords. What's it called? There's something.
Swords.
No.
Siam, is it?
No, the one that's in the industrial estate. I should know it. The name's just gone out of my head now. It's gone out of my head.
Sit down.
No, it's a takeaway. It used to be.
Oh, a take?
Yeah, it used to be on the main
Somewhere
street. And it's now in the little industrial estate. It's like a little industrial estate. They've moved it in there now.
Somewhere in, no?
No, that's on the main street. No, don't like the summer.
I don't know.
Anyway, the point, I've forgotten what I was actually going to say there. Yeah, but you do get twice as much in a takeaway as you normally get in a sit-down restaurant. But look, people can follow you. If you go onto TikTok, I'm assuming, by the way, Nasti is not your real name. But that doesn't matter anyway. People know you as Nasti.
Yeah,
and it's Nasti with an I, by the way.
Born nasty.
So if you go onto TikTok, it's at Nasti with an I. That's Nasti with an I _2K. Instagram is the same, Nasti _2K. Or the podcast, by the way, is called Ground and Pound Podcast. Sounds good. It's on Spotify, I assume, in all the usual places.
Yeah, it's not the worst one. Probably a bit generic, but I mean, keep it simple, I say.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, come on someday and we'll share a spice bag.
Oh, I would absolutely love that, and I'll bring it to you.
All right, okay, I'll keep it to that. Listen, Nasti, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. There you go. There's Nasti, by the way. You can follow him on TikTok, Instagram, or his podcast, Ground for Pound Podcast, or Ground and Pound Podcast. And it's at Nasti, Nasti with an I, by the way, not a Y. Nasti _2K. If you go to his TikTok or his Instagram, you can follow him there. He's a hoot, by the way. He's mad as a brush, by the way. But, it's great crack. And he basically gives reviews of takeaways. And, it's those kind of novel ideas that work. People, that's what people want to see. They want to see who has the best spice bag, who has the best Chinese takeaway. What does Nasti think of it? And he's like me. He doesn't like the veg. By the way, we have a huge issue, massive issue in this world. And I believe it's one of the biggest problems in this world. And the biggest problem in this world is, why can't people in McDonald's and all other places, KFC, Burger King, why can't they understand that some people just do not like sauce on their burgers? Every time I go into McDonald's, I say a burger with onions only. They get it wrong. They put cheese on it, they put sauce on it, they put lettuce on it. They just don't listen to me.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.